Good morning, church. It's good to be with you. I'm Matt. I'm one of the pastors here. It's a little bit of a different Sunday this morning. I don't know if you've noticed, we have some short people in the congregation today. And yeah, I love it. And you know, one of our values, one of our hearts for who we want to be as a church, as a community, is we want to be people who model to our kids, to our families, to our congregation, what it looks like to be a part of the church, what it means to follow Jesus together. So parents, it's okay if your kids make a little bit of noise this morning. That's okay. I can handle that. But I think the invitation for us is that actually we get to model for our kids, we get to model for everybody together that we worship God, that we praise God, that we learn about God together. So kids, I hope that this morning is not just about the adults, but I also, adults, hope that you'll gather and learn and discover something that we can discover together as a community of God, that we can support each other and walk alongside each other in the journey of following Jesus. Because we're the church together. Whatever generation you are or stage of life, the walk of the journey of faith together is amazing. And so it's special to be able to mentor kids, to care for kids, to celebrate their spiritual journey. But it's also important for us to walk through life together. So I just want to take a moment to shout out all the people who consistently serve in Life Kids and in Elevate with our students or as small group leaders, because you are walking the journey of life with people. You are walking the discovery of who God is for each of us, and it's pretty amazing. So when I was a kid, I learned how to ride a bike. And when I learned how to ride a bike, we had one rule in my family, and it was that you could not have training wheels. So I got a bike, and my parents were like, no training wheels for you. And they decided they were gonna help me learn how to ride a bike. And so I get on my bike, and my mom is on the back of the bike holding the seat, and she says, okay, now it's time to pedal. And so I start pedaling, and I distinctly remember this one time where I was trying to get the handle of it, and I finally, I guess, got it, because I'm starting to pedal, and I remember yelling to my mom, let go, let go, let go. And she's like, I'm not holding you anymore. To which I responded with, oh no. And I went right off the end of my driveway, across the street, and ran into the car across the street that parked on the other side. See, I think it's kind of funny. It took me a little bit of extra effort to learn how to ride my bike. I mean, I eventually figured it out. I eventually got there, but it took me some extra effort to learn how to ride a bike. And I think that there's this tension that we live in sometimes, this challenge where we want to be self-reliant. We want to be people who can do it on our own. We want to say, like, look what I can do this. And sometimes we can't quite do it. Like me, I kind of couldn't quite ride my bike. Now, my daughter, Eliana, she, when she was learning how to ride her bike, she was 3. And I decided, hey, same rule for her, but she's like, I want to learn. I want to ride a bike, Dad. I can handle a big girl bike. And I was like, okay, I believe you. So I remember pushing her and then her starting to pedal, and she kind of started to get it. And then I like walking around with her like this, like, don't fall, don't fall, don't fall, don't fall. And by the 3rd time I did it, I'm doing this, and she says, Dad, I got it, get away from me. And she continues to ride her bike in circles all around the thing. And I was like, what does this say about me, that it took me effort and energy to learn how to do this, and my kid can do it without even having to think about it, right? And I wonder if that becomes part of our journey in life. As we go through life, whether we're young or we're old, we see other people do things and make it look easy, and we wonder if that actually means something is not as good about us, that we need help on some things, and that we would make a value judgment of ourselves about how easy they make it look and wonder what is actually wrong with us. So I think it's important for us today to think about the idea of what happens when things don't go our way. When we don't get exactly what we want, when we don't know exactly what is gonna happen. So kids, I don't know, maybe you've had to clean your room once or twice in your life. And when I was a kid, I felt like it was fair for my parents to try and bribe me with candy when I needed to clean my room, right? And sometimes our parents don't actually give us that candy, right? Sometimes we're like, Mom, I did all that hard work. You should totally buy me an ice cream now. And they're like, no, sometimes you just have to do the things that we're supposed to do, right? And maybe it's a different kind of hard time. Maybe you're hanging out with some friends. Adults, this applies to you too. Maybe you're going out with some friends and they're just not interested in the same things you are. They're like, hey, let's go to that Monster Truck concert. And you're like, Monster Truck show. And you're like, I'm more of an opera person. Kids, maybe it's like, I want to play hide and go seek. Let's play hide and go seek. Let's play hide and go seek. Let's play hide and go seek. And your friends are like, I don't want to play hide and go seek. I want to play duck, duck, goose. And you think in those moments, my friends don't actually like me. They don't want to do the same things as me. But actually, I think when we look at the Bible story today, that we're going to discover that life is not always easy, but that God can show up in those hard things. It's not all sunshine and butterflies like retirement where we get to do whatever we want all the time and have everything go well for us, because all of you retired people know that you get to do whatever you want whenever you want, right? Yeah. I mean, that's my dream someday, but we also know that that's not the reality. That's not the reality of what it is. And I think this story that we're gonna learn about today, we're gonna talk about this guy named Moses, and we're gonna see that there's a little bit more he needs this one time when things get hard. There's this extra support when things don't go the way he wants, when it doesn't fit perfectly. So kids, we've been talking about Moses. Now, some of you guys might have heard about Moses. You've heard little stories. Like he went to Egypt and he had this really cool staff, and he went to Egypt, and God told him that he was supposed to take the staff and he was supposed to put it down on the ground, and then it turns into a snake. That's why there's a snake on the top of this. And it's supposed to impress Pharaoh so much that he's supposed to let the people go, let the Israelites go from slavery, which is pretty incredible. And so he takes the staff and he lays it down and it turns into a snake. And you know what Pharaoh does? He goes, cool party trick. No, I'm not gonna let your people go. And then Moses does some other cool things, like he takes the staff and he goes to the Nile River and he touches it in the Nile River and the whole river turns to blood. It's like crazy. He's like, let my people go, Pharaoh. And Pharaoh goes, yeah, okay. And then he still doesn't let him go. And this staff becomes this incredible thing that God starts to use, that God starts to do amazing things with. And so, kids, maybe you haven't heard about the story of Moses, of all the things about Moses. There's this movie called The Prince of Egypt. You should ask your parents to let you watch it. And you could be like, Mom, I need to spend time with Jesus. I need to watch the Prince of Egypt movie like Pastor Matt said, okay? So you can go home and you'd be like, I need to spend time with Jesus. That's what I need to do today. But parents, I think one of the things that we can model for our kids is helping to express the stories of God in a way that reaches our kids. And so hopefully we're gonna explore this story, but if you want more, you need help in doing that, there are some incredible resources. There's some Bible apps and some and videos like this that we just have to be ready to jump into to help our kids experience the journey of God. So today, we're gonna see how the people of Israel experience a new challenge. They experience a new challenge that they've never faced before, and we're gonna see how the staff of God, the powerful thing that God gives to Moses and uses in Moses, becomes this incredible way in which God can work and do miracles. But maybe it's gonna be a little harder than we think. So today we're gonna be in Exodus chapter 17. So if you have your Bibles without, you can open up to Exodus chapter 17. We're gonna start in verse 8. And this is the story of the battle of the Amalekites. That basically just means the people whose grandpa was Amalek. That's what it means. It's like this other family group almost, this big group of people. And this is the story of the first real battle that the Israelites have to face, that the people who follow God have to face and discover. So Exodus chapter 17, starting in verse 8, says this. It says, the Amalekites came and attacked the Israelites at Rephidim. Moses said to Joshua, I almost dropped that. We'll put that on the ground. Moses said to Joshua, choose some of our men and go out to fight the Amalekites. Tomorrow I'll stand on top of the hill with the staff of God in my hands. I think what's really fun is the staff of God. It shows up lots of different times in the story of Moses. And at first, it's just a staff. It's just the stick that he uses to shepherd sheep. It's just the stick that he uses to help make sure they don't get stuck anywhere. It's just a staff. It's like a walking stick. And God transforms it at the burning bush where he shows up to Moses the very first time. And that's where he first sees it turn into a snake. And then we see those other stories, right? Like where he goes to Pharaoh and then he turns the Nile River red into blood. And then we see this amazing miracle where Moses is standing at the edge of the Red Sea with all of the people and the Egyptians are chasing him down. And he uses the staff and he raises the staff and what happens? The water parts. And the people walk across on dry land. And so we see in this story this amazing thing of what God is going to do. And then right before the story we're in today, in verse 5 through 7 of chapter 17, Moses uses the staff to get water from a rock. It's pretty cool. It says, the Lord answered Moses, go out in front of the people, take with you some of the elders of Israel, take in your hand the staff with which you struck the Nile, and go. I will stand there before you by the rock at Horeb, strike the rock, and water will come out of it for the people to drink. So Moses did this in the sight of the elders of Israel, and he called the place Massah and Meribah, because the Israelites quarreled and because they tested the Lord, saying, is the Lord among us or not? See, this is the power of God's staff. It shows up. It does amazing things. It can do signs and wonders and miracles, and they happen right now. So when the people need the help of God, they want something, they need something from God. This is the magic wand that Moses gets to wave to make amazing things happen. This is Excalibur, right? That Moses pulls out and goes, oh, that's lightsaber, sorry. This is Excalibur that like shows that he knows how to lead, right? That he has God's authority with him. He has the power to be in charge. This is the amazing thing that Moses has. So let's go back to Exodus 17. Let's see maybe what's a little different in this part of the story. It says in verse 10, so Joshua fought the Amalekites as Moses had ordered. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went to the top of the hill. And as long as Moses held up his hands, the Israelites were winning. This is where things get fun. Moses has the staff of God in his hands. He's ready to go. And the Israelites cannot lose, right? They've got their magic wand. They've got their magic staff. Moses has it in his hands. He's ready to do it. They're going to defeat everybody, right? I need a kid who's going to help me, who can help me. Do you want to help me? All right, come on up here. All right, everybody can give her a round of applause. All right, we're not gonna make her share her name or anything else because this is kind of crazy. All right, this is the staff, all right? You're Moses this morning, okay? So you have one job. You're going up on the hill and you have to hold this above your head, all right? So you're just gonna stand like that. You're gonna hold that above your head, okay? And don't let it drop. Okay, because you gotta hold it up. That's what Moses did, all right? Do you think you can handle that? Amazing, all right, good job. Okay, so you get to stand right here overlooking everyone, just like Moses overlooked the battle, right? If you get too nervous, you can close your eyes. The only thing that's important is the staff above your head, okay? And I'm gonna tell this story, but I can only tell the story as long as you're holding the staff up above your head, okay? If you put it down, I have to stop. Can we do that? We're gonna do that. We're gonna try it. So we're gonna go back to this passage. We're gonna see what God does. And it says in verse 11, it says, whenever he lowered his hands, the Amalekites were winning. So whenever he had his hands up, the Israelites were winning, but whenever he lowered his hands, the Amalekites were winning. And that's why you gotta hold it for me to tell the story, okay? I think you might be in some real trouble. It's gonna get really hard, but that's okay. I promise it'll be okay. All right. Are you feeling tired yet? No, okay, good. All right, so Joshua. Joshua is this incredible character in the Bible. We see him, especially at like the Battle of Jericho. We see him do some incredible things leading the people into the promised land. But this is the first time we see Joshua in the story. And it's as the leader of the battle, which I think is interesting because in Numbers 11:28, it says that Joshua is a young leader. And yet he's the one who goes before and leads the battle. And we actually discover later, right, that Joshua is probably the only one who's not afraid of the battle. Are we still doing okay? Okay, good. Joshua is the only one not afraid of the battle. He's the only one who is willing to go into the promised land when he's supposed to. He's the only one that actually doesn't need the wilderness to refine him. He's the only one who really trusts in God's provision and protection. He's the only one. Well, and Caleb, but Joshua and Caleb together are the only ones. And Joshua at this moment is leading the battle. And even when it gets scary, he is ready to trust in God. You still doing okay? Yeah. Okay, that's good. Remember, I can't keep going unless you keep it up. So I'm glad you're so strong. This is amazing. Oh man, I'm sorry. I forgot. I should have read this verse a second ago. This will help you, I think. It says in verse 12, when Moses' hands grew tired, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. So actually, you don't have to stand up. You can sit down. Hang on. Here, I got a special spot for you. I meant to do that. So here, let's lower that so that it's nice and perfect for your height. Can I do it? It doesn't want to lower. You're gonna have to figure it out. Don't put your hands down though. Can you? Okay. Well, actually, you got it. You got it. Okay. Almost. There we go. Okay. Now we can be more comfortable. And then it says, Aaron and Hur helped hold his hands up, one on one side, one on the other. Can anybody help hold her hands up? Yeah. Right there. Come on up. Do you want to help hold her hands up? Yeah. Come on. Right here. Yeah, hustle up here. She needs help so she doesn't grow too tired. All right, perfect. Yep, you get that hand. Perfect, you get that hand right there. You can come too. We got it. Oh, no, you got to hold her hands. You can't touch the staff of God. You're not Moses. All right. Come on up. Yeah, we got it. All right, one more. All right, so here, you can stand behind and hold both her hands like this. Okay, don't let her drop her hands, right? Oh, good. I'm glad we got some help and some friends. Oh, wait, no, you can't touch the staff. You can only help her. You can only help her right there. There you go. Perfect. There we go. All right. And it says, Aaron and Hur held his hands up, one on one side, one on the other, so his hands remained steady until sunset. Oh, we got another one. Oh, perfect. Yeah, right here. Yeah, here, right there. There you go. Perfect. And this is the story of how Moses, oh, we got another one. Perfect. Yeah, it's good. All right, good. I love this. This is great. All right, here, you can come right here. All right, there we go. Perfect. There you go. Okay. Oh my goodness. All right. Last one. No more kids. I got to keep telling this story. I'm going to get tired. All right. Oh. So Aaron and Hur held up his hands, one on one side and one on the other, so that his hands remained steady until sunset. Now, this is not just a few minutes on stage. This is Moses holding his hands up and having to hold his hands up all the way until sunset. And I love the next verse, and it says in verse 13, So Joshua overcame the Amalekite army with the sword. All right, well, you guys give them a round of applause. We completed the battle. Good job. Way to go. Way to be Moses. You guys can go back down and grab a seat. Amazing. So before, when we see Moses with his staff, the miracle is instant. It's instantaneous. When he raises his hands, the Red Seas part. When he puts his hands down, the Red Seas crash over the Egyptian army. But this is the first time in the story where the miracle isn't instant. It's the first time that God is doing something in Moses, and it doesn't work perfectly or easily. This isn't a performance anymore. This isn't turning the Nile to blood. This isn't instant water from the rock. This is a battle that creates hard, long work all day long. And I think that Moses is learning a lesson here. That God is teaching him something when it's not easy, when it's not as easy as he thought it should be, it's not as easy as he wanted it to be. In verse 14, it says, then the Lord said to Moses, write this on the scroll as something to be remembered, and make sure that Joshua hears it, because I will completely blot out the name of Amalek from under heaven. I don't know about you, but when my teacher used to tell me, write this down, or my boss said, take a note of this, say it this way, do this thing, it was usually something I was not supposed to forget. It was usually something that I had to do, to remember to turn in the assignment or complete the job. And this is the very first time in the Bible that anybody is told to write something down. Adam and Eve aren't told to write down the history of God's creation. Noah's not told to write down the history of the flood and of a giant boat that he built. Abraham isn't told to write down, I am your God and I will be your people. Moses, in this moment, for the very first time, is told to write this story down and pass it along to Joshua. And I find it amazing because the first 5 books of the Bible, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, sometimes they're called the Pentateuch, which means 5, like Pentagon, but they are also called the books of Moses, because these are the stories that Moses writes down for all of us and for all of the history of Israel to remember the work of what God has done. And this is the story in which he is told for the very first time to write something down. And so I think there's something here. I think there's something here for us to observe and to experience about the Word of God, about the story that Moses needs to learn, that we need to learn, that our kids need to learn, that we need to live out for the rest of our lives. It says in verse 15, Moses built an altar and called it, "The Lord is my banner." He said, because hands were lifted up against the throne of the Lord will be at war against the Amalekites from generation to generation. I think sometimes we think we have it all on our own with our own gifts and our talents, our abilities, the things that we're good at, right? Maybe you think you have found the magic wand, the amazing staff of God that can solve all of your problems, but you still can't do this alone. One of the things that I love observing about how we grow up is when kids, when babies especially, play, we're like, oh, look at them playing with their friends. And they're like, that's my ball, right? And then they go play over here with their ball, and don't you dare take their ball from them, right? Babies like to play next to each other. It's called parallel play. They play next to each other. They do things close, but not with. But this is where we need wisdom in our lives. We need to grow as people, regardless of how old you are or how long you've lived your life. You have to learn the journey of dealing with people. And hopefully what can happen is we find and we discover from others people who can mentor us and lead us, who've lived the life we desire to live, who've made the mistakes that we don't want to make, and we have the opportunity to learn in community in wisdom and rely on others. And I believe that that's exactly what God is teaching Moses here. He's teaching him to rely on others, that he needs to be prepared for the hard road ahead. And I believe that when the battle gets hard, he needs people who are going to be with him and support him. And I wonder if in our lives, when the battle gets hard, when the things get difficult and challenging, we need people who are going to be with us and support us. And sometimes we have to experience the challenge and the difficulty so that we can actually get better and not rely on our own strength anymore. See, when I crashed my bike that very first time I was finally on my own riding my bike, I could have given up. I could have never ridden a bike again. A few years later, I was riding my bike down a giant hill and a car cut me off and I slammed into the side of the car and flipped over on the hood. I could have said, riding bike's too dangerous. I can't let my kids ride their bikes. What if that happens to them? But instead, what I get to do is I get to look at my kids and say, how do I build you up and empower you and teach you in a way that allows you to learn and grow and be safe from my mistakes, from the accidents that I've had? Actually, what I think God is teaching us here is that we have to rely on those around us. We need to be the kind of people to support and lift up our friends when they're hurting and having a hard time. We need to be the kid of friends who recognizes when we can't do it on our own and we need our teammates or our friends to help us. We can't be the kind of kids who just expect our parents or our friends to make everything easy for us or for God to make everything easy for us. But we need to be with each other. We need to be the kind of people who make the choice to support each other. Church, parents, you carry this staff. You're the ones like Moses who potentially see all of the challenges that are ahead, and we want to take away and use our magic powers to take away every obstacle from those in front of us. But actually, it's not our job to take away every obstacle from all of those who are around us, to carry every burden ourselves. It's our obstacle, it's our challenge to rely on the strength of God and those he puts around us. To be the kind of people who will hold the staff and realize that it is not always going to be an easy battle, but that we are going to trust that the battle belongs to the Lord. That we have a God who goes before us, who protects us, who walks with us in this journey of trusting in God. And it's this invitation every day to rely on others around us. And if we trust in God, if we trust that he is with us, that he is walking the journey with us, not that he is necessarily making it easy, but that he is going to lead us and guide us and protect us and provide what we need through the battle, through the journey, then we can know that God has the battle. That his banner over us will protect us and we will get through. Moses built this altar and he called it, "The Lord is my banner," because he lifted his hands up to the throne of God. See, I think that when we trust in God and his banner over us, when we rely on others, when we are the kind of people like Aaron and Hur who are ready to step into the battle with our friends, that God can do amazing things. He can do immeasurably more than we could ask or imagine. And kids, this is for you too, that when life gets hard, there are people and there are places where we want to support you, where we want to walk this journey with you, where we want to help your parents be better parents, where we want to be a church together that walks in that says, oh, that's hard. And that we can remember that we have a battle that we are fighting, but the battle is not ours to fight. It's not ours to win with a magic wand. It's ours to look to God and remember that the battle belongs to the Lord.